Moving on, the next session, in continuation with the theme of business redefined, our next session will be a panel discussion on how entrepreneurs can be better prepared for eventualities which can disrupt their business and be prepared to redefine their business models when the need arises. The discussion will be moderated by action coach Manish Jain, who is based in Mumbai. With 30 plus years of corporate experience in multinational companies across India, Manish has worked with diverse markets spanning US, Mexico, Europe, Africa, Middle East, and Southeast Asia. He's skilled in multitude of areas like profitability, improvement, business development, improving operational efficiencies, team mentoring, business transformation, vendor management, implementing safety, as well as rigorous quality processes. I now call upon Manish for discussing future-proofing your business. Manish, can you hear me?
Hi, Satyam. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
So thank you so much, and good evening, and welcome to all the participants who have joined this panel discussion on future-proofing your business. The ongoing unprecedented economic scenario of COVID-19 has affected every country and practically every human being by now, which in turn means practically every business is impacted and looking for ways to overcome this crisis. We understand that businesses have cycles like seasons, where some event, whether local or global, can have either a positive or a negative impact. But this COVID-19 scenario is unique that almost all sectors have been affected dramatically, leaving not just businesses, but even countries unprepared to confront it with appropriate measures. What is even more challenging is that there seems to be no clear remedy in sight for the pandemic. Governments across the world are grappling with this challenge and putting in massive efforts to help their people. Throughout the day, we have heard experts share their thoughts on how to handle the current economic situation. And in continuation of this theme for the summit, this panel discussion is focused on the following three key issues. Firstly, why does a business need to redefine its business model now? Because that's what we've heard since morning. How can a business redefine its business model, along with when it should be doing so? That should it wait till the situation stabilizes or start taking steps now? And the third and most important is what a business can do to prepare for such an eventuality in future. In this session, I have three eminent panelists from India and the Middle East who are joining us to share their views on how to future-proof the business, which will be followed by question and answers from the participants. I am equally keen to hear the views of our panelists, and I now welcome and request our three eminent panelists to first give us a brief introduction of themselves. So over to our first panelist, Coach Pashupati.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Manish. I'm Pashupati Kundu. As a business coach, I help business owners and business leaders grow their business, have more time, and lead a better quality of life. Primarily, I specialize in generating positive cash flow from all functions of the business, and I'm looking forward to a great session here and happy to contribute. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pashupati. Kyriakos, can I request you for a quick introduction?
Good evening, everybody. I'm Kyriakos Kofinas. I am a leadership and business coach since 2008. I'm helping leaders, business owners, and teams on defining their purpose, on the changes on the business, and on execution of the growth plans they have. I've been before 25 years an executive in the corporate world for Procter & Gamble, and the last 10 years as a regional CEO for Adidas and Safilo. And now I'm in Dubai, being a leadership and action coach out of Dubai. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Colonel Rahul, can we have your quick introduction, please?
Yeah, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Colonel Rahul. Spent 25 years in the Army. I had the singular honor of commanding 18 Grenadiers, the battalion which captured Tiger Hill for us. And after Army, I've spent 5 years in corporate sector and last 2 years as a business coach. I'm a business and performance coach, and my orientation is more towards creating systems and processes. And that's how I help business owners. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. The first question that I have, I'm posing it to Kyriakos. What is the best strategy according to you for businesses in the current scenario? And most businesses are waiting for lockdown to be lifted. And how is the market in Dubai?
Thank you, Anis. Well, the best strategy is, first of all, to have a purpose, redefine what really matters. Is it about survival? Is it about maintaining? Is it about growing? Then, of course, reviewing the business model and how this has changed, and having a 90 days crisis management plan. There is no point, actually, and I believe the plan is a strategy also, there is no point to have further than 90 days plan when the evolution of the crisis is so unpredictable and the level of changes happening are so significant. Rules of the business can change in 90 days as well. So although the plan had not fully covered the reality, it's absolutely necessary to have one in order to avoid the chaos that can happen. We all know this crisis is called also a black swan crisis, which means a crisis of unpredictable, extreme global impact. So this plan helps actually navigate through the crisis. Now, here in Middle East, most of the businesses, they do have a plan. So practically, they're not waiting for the lockdown to lift, because either they continue their existing business model remotely, or they have changed the business model, shifting to services, or if they are locked down like the hotels, they are preparing the plans for next days. And they're preparing, for example, the hotels, which is a classic example, how they're going to be operating with the different safety standards, how they're going to have rooms for people who have been through the virus already, or how they can do some e-concierge services. Or, for example, the gyms, which have become now lease providers, leasing the treadmills to their loyal clients. So everybody is really following a plan, which is important to be, with the help of a coach, the right 90 days crisis plan reference. Because this plan basically can include the communication, which is needed, the management of fear, which is important at the beginning of the crisis cycle, the review of the business model, securing the operations in the supply chain, which are critical for the delivery of the products, managing the cash, managing and getting the most of the people, and last but not least, adjusting marketing and sales working remotely. This is a period of many opportunities, so those who have this plan really mastered will be the ones who will get the gifts of the crisis.
Thank you. Very well put. I think the 90-day crisis plan is something that we heard about in the morning also. So I'm happy to note that across the world, it's the same strategy that everybody is following. Colonel Rahul, so things that Kyriakos spoke about. So what if a business is not able to make changes? For example, the travel industry, the construction industry, retail, photographers, they all need physical presence. How do you suggest that they should handle this crisis?
Okay, the sad reality, Manish, is that businesses exist only if they have a product or a service that customer need or want, and if they cannot produce or deliver their product or service, then that business cannot survive. Now, in today's lockdown state, most businesses are in a suspended animation. This situation may get extended or may draw down in a phased manner. Even when the lockdown is completely lifted, the business scenario for most businesses would have changed. And for some, the changes would be very huge. So the first thing is to accept this reality as it exists and not develop a siege mentality, not get into a bunker and keep your fingers crossed, hoping for things to eventually improve. We cannot sit idle on our haunches. Now let us take the example of tourism that you asked. Let us evaluate its reality. Now, one cannot expect people to travel during the lockdown for leisure. And even when the restrictions are removed, travel for leisure will take time to pick up. It will happen slowly. People will not like to travel far off, particularly not abroad. But I also suspect that having been cooped in their homes for such a long time, they would be eager to go out they may not be willing to take a risk of traveling far. So if I were a travel agent, I would look for and design unique experiences closer home at about half day's turnaround distance from my customer's place of residence. And I'll get into alliances with suitable properties in that geography. I would offer my customers such packages now, at this moment, with flexible itinerary that can actually get deployed or executed once the lockdown is over. And I would even offer discounts, forward discounts for booking now, which will generate much needed cash flow. So what I mean to say is, in fact, some would even, this uncertainty of life would have even brought a sense of urgency to the more adventurous kind who would have been wanting to do something for quite some time. For example, going for a bungee jump. Now, for these adventurous kind of people like me, I'm currently today, I have this sense of urgency to go on an all India tour, which I've been postponing for years together. So for such people, I will curate a unique experiences that they're craving for, and again, sell those packages now. So if your business is facing an existential crisis and possibility of death, please don't let it be death by inaction. Get up and get moving on. Think of the possibilities. Look at your product, your service, your business model, like Kyriakos before me suggested. Look at the possibilities. And if you're overwhelmed by the current situation, then it is time to seek help from experts, from your coaches, so that you can develop a response plan, as Kyriakos mentioned, a crisis plan. So a response plan for the duration of the lockdown and for once the lockdown is lifted up. With the right inputs of knowledge, skill, attitude, and action, a solution can be created for every problem. Resources are usually not an issue, they can be generated. So get moving, start thinking, and create solutions. Don't get paralyzed by this situation.
Very good, very good. Thank you so much. So what I got from your response is that you are suggesting that such kind of business owners should use either their own network to reach out, understand what is the possible market requirement that is going to come up. I have personally been getting a lot of surveys, so that could be another method by which they can start reaching out to a network outside their own. And of course, if they get a coach who will give a third party, an independent view, that itself could be very useful.
Yeah.
So, great. Thank you so much for that. Kyriakos, just coming back to you once again, there is some amount of uncertainty, fence sitting, if I can call it. People feel that this lockdown is going to get over on a particular date. Like India is currently expecting 3rd of May. US is expecting that maybe by end of May it's going to get lifted, and then we will all go back to whatever we were doing earlier. So do you think that is a possibility we should keep in mind? We just suspend everything and wait for things to come back to normal?
Well, I think first it's important to this day to come, actually, because everybody is now waiting when we can start going back, actually, and having in parallel of our remote business as well, our rest of the business. However, we are already living in a different way. We are working and living differently. I can say we are programmed now somehow in a different way. So I expect that when we start going back to our offices, we already are different. And this difference actually at a high degree will stay there after this lockdown, I would say. So the question now is which are the business opportunities that will arise from this crisis which goes on right now. And definitely a coach here can help challenge the business owners and every business actually to see all the different opportunities which are already becoming part of our new life. If you ask me, for example, about the Middle East here, we already see a lot of opportunities in different segments, but also we see some trends as well. Like, for example, digitalization now is the prevailed way of doing business here. So this is, of course, to stay after the lockdown is over. We see also that there is a type of cycle economy which takes over from linear, which means that a lot of businesses have seen that during the crisis, they had issues with the supply chain. So they are looking for local solutions as well, not only depending on overseas supply. So that's a business opportunity as well. How small, medium enterprises can help actually with local supply or getting their supply locally as well. We see also another trend, which is autonomy. I mean, we see now that the households are living in a kind of autonomy. So that's another business opportunity, how can be served actually after the crisis. And then, of course, safety, which is also becoming a very important element now in the way we do business, in the way we run the business, and in the way, of course, we sell our products. I can say that the whole, you remember we said in the past, Maslow hierarchy of needs, the famous pyramid, will be different now. So the first level, if you remember, was always survival, safety. So safety will be different because it has to be at a different level. Resources, which is the second level, will be different because every business needs to decide how many people and how much cash they need actually to survive through the crisis and after the crisis. Information handling, which is the next level, will be different because now we are trained actually to get a lot of information and how to handle the information with our people. Teams will be different because they already started, working remotely. So how the teams will continue working now when businesses will be open again. Then, of course, technology is playing now a far more important role. And last but not least, as we said before also, the purpose of the company during and after the crisis is very important to be redefined. And all these areas and all these layers of the pyramid of Maslow, a business coach can really help challenge and help build the right mindset to see the existing business in a different way. And I think this is one of the gifts of the crisis.
Great, thank you so much. And for repurposing Maslow's hierarchy, I think that's a very interesting spin to it.
Yeah.
So that is in Dubai. So Pashupati, you are based in Kolkata. What do you feel is the go-to-market strategy, something that you are advising your clients about now?
Yeah. In my view, in the immediate future, his priority would be to keep a positive cash flow by offering more value for money, because cash flow is the most important thing now, as speaker after speaker spoke in the morning as well, to provide more bang for the buck, as they say. Though the term value for money is rather overused and cliched, still it is the biggest need of the hour. In simplest form, I would say value equals benefit minus cost. So a business owner must look at the equation hard, and that is what I'm telling my clients also, and try and increase benefit and reduce cost for the consumer. For doing this, he should refer to the framework of 7 Ps of the business mix, or namely product, price, placement, promotion, process, people, and proof, and look at all these 7 Ps individually and see where he can make more value. He can add more value for his clients. For example, a few ways of increasing value could be reworking the product service mix, for example, cutting down on the frills, or looking at the SKU line-wise and making an offer bundle, giving longer validity for same contract amount, incentivizing upfront payment, etc. All these may make a dent in the margin, I agree. But as I said, cash flow is top priority. Margin must be maintained or bettered by improving the internal processes, driving efficiencies in them, and relooking at the supply chain and cost of finance. As you know, vendors, customers or business owners, vendors, he would also be looking for sales. So hence, it is the right time to renegotiate terms with them. Government has also announced many schemes which the business owners must avail depending upon their need. Now, new customer segments, new markets, developing new usage of the product, that is pivoting the existing ways of doing business, would be another area I would work with my clients. Retaining existing clients, of course, is the first priority, but in some cases, going into new segments or targeting new territories could also help. As the promotion costs have already come down, it makes sense to keep up the advertisements, the marketing budget keeping going on. For new users to get quick results, I would say the testimonial route advertising would be most effective because it is easy to convince new users through that route. Campaigns should be reworked at conveying the message that the product or service the business owner is offering is more of a necessity than a good to have item. Innovative advertisement is definitely the need of the hour. For example, today I saw an umbrella ad in which it shows by using an umbrella, it prevents others from coming near us, thereby maintaining social distance and keeping us safe and healthy. Who would have thought of umbrellas, being used as a tool for social distancing? So This is an example of a very good innovative way of communicating. Another travel agency client of mine has pivoted his advertisements from deal-based campaigns. Deal-based campaigns earlier used to do, and nowadays he has pivoted to education-based campaigns in which he's educating his users around exotic spaces near his home. As Colonel Rahul also mentioned that customers might look at spaces or opportunities around the hometown. So this is what he's exactly doing. So I think this will help him get top of mind recall when situation becomes normal enough to go on holidays again. So these are the few tips I would suggest to my clients. I'm also working with them. Thank you.
So thank you, Pashupati. So what I hear you say is that your go-to strategy is to preserve cash flow, increase value for your clients, make sure that you keep doing marketing, renegotiate contracts where you can, use testimonials, innovate where possible. So excellent, very good. So Colonel Rahul, so these are certain top level ideas that Pashupati has given. What would be your suggestion about how to go about communicating this within the team, the customers, suppliers? What would you do sitting in Ahmedabad?
Okay. So, we are looking at how business can respond to this immediate future that is evolving right in front of us. And this is still, it is near future, but it is very uncertain. The first thing that the business owner, in order to have a communication, would need to make a sense of this future. Karekos and Pashupati have told us how he can make a sense of this future and then develop a strategy. But now it is equally important for this business owner to be able to convey whatever he's thinking about to his various stakeholders. First person that he should start with is his staff, his team, because he cannot respond to this situation without his team being totally in picture and understanding what is going through the business owner's mind and what is he planning, what does he expect them to play, what is the play in fact. Okay. So that is the first thing that this business owner should be doing, that he should be getting in touch with his team members and communicating with them that these are my priorities for the next so many days or during the lockdown, and immediately after lockdown, this is what we are going to do. Now, for any business, there are links or chains before the business and after the business. So before the business, the backward links, those are their suppliers and vendors. My business plan will not succeed unless I have the suppliers and vendors on board. I have discussed with them both the terms of their supplies, the timings, etc. How soon can they get back into the game and start supplying raw material to me, whatever that I am using as a business owner. And then is the part of communicating with my customers, because after all, whatever product or service I am making, they actually have to reach the customer. I need to start communicating with the customer now. What do they need? There is no point making something that they're not going to buy tomorrow because their needs have changed, or their priorities would be different maybe once the lockdown ends. So I need to start communicating with my customers about what could be their priorities. What do they need? How can I and my business supply those needs? I also need to get into my delivery channels. How soon will my delivery channels get activated? I need to start talking to them now. So all the things that Karekos and Pashupati said, when it comes to actual execution, the plan needs to be prepared, yes, but it also needs to be vetted with various stakeholders. It has to be communicated to them, and maybe a dry run or an audit of that plan needs to be done with all these stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you for that response. And coming back to you, Pashupati, so whatever points Rahul has stated, while they certainly apply for this situation of turmoil, I would feel that even in future, anytime there is a business disruption, they will come into force once again. So what is your suggestion about how this can become a future proofing? It's a normal way of life for a business. How can they integrate it into their own policies and procedures?
Yeah, you're right, Manish. First thing would be goals would have to be revised. Again, I would go into the near future first, because once we take care of the near future, then we can talk of anything else. So here, for this year at least, I would advise my clients, and I'm working with my clients also, to focus on achieving the original volume goal rather than value. Because the volume goal can be achieved, it will bring in efficiency of scale, thereby giving a better chance to achieve the goal, even if turnover gets hit, which it would in most cases because of lockdown has been extended for such a long period. Uh, Also, the cost will have to relooked at with the bigger lanes. Tangible improvements must be planned with specific action points. Each function in the business will have to be given a cost reduction target without compromising, of course, on productivity. Of course, this will involve looking at data from a different perspective, using technology to extract more information out of it, and also unearth new patterns of consumer behavior. This is very important. Utilization of data. This is going to be very important to unearth new consumer behavior patterns, because the patterns will change post this period. So the introduction of technology would really help in unearthing, and there are new technologies like machine learning and else, which will help, big data analysis, which will help businesses unearth new trends in consumer patterns, consumer behavior. Of course, manpower will have to be relocated to functions and territories where productivity per unit of effort is higher. So there'll be quite a few relocations. This will involve training in some cases, and also cross-cultural familiarization in many, if there are inter-country transfer of resources. In terms of employment, I foresee increasing usage of freelancers to perform time-based projects. Employment patterns will change with experience of work from home, and many organizations reporting increase in productivity during this period. I know quite a few of them. This might be a new work model, resulting in smaller offices and less commuting. So in a nutshell, there will be a lot of shifting of goals for which the business leader has to be trained himself first, ready himself first, and then make his organization and team ready.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So Karakos, coming back to you, all of this requires a different kind of leadership than normal times suggest. So what kind of leadership do you feel is suited best for this crisis management situation? And how would you advise this leadership to also do contingency or BCP planning?
Yes, good question. Well, I think like with the virus treatment, we use a combination of medicines right now until we get the vaccine. I think the same thing also with leadership in crisis. We have a combination of different styles which are working well. For example, one style is the so-called adaptable leadership. What does this mean? This means that the leader has, first of all, a good understanding of the current situation, a self-awareness of what is happening and how the business has been affected by the crisis. This is the classic mistake in crisis, trying to change a business without having assessed the changes that happen in the market. This is a classic mistake sometimes we do. And the second, of course, an adaptable leader needs to have a good understanding of frameworks, what he has to do during the crisis. For example, the 90 days plan is a framework. So whoever as a business owner has done a 90 days plan, he is of course better equipped and skilled to have a 90 days crisis management plan. Or if he knows how to use the frameworks of Action Coach of 5 ways or of 6 steps of organizing the company. So knowing the framework and being aware of what is happening is one type of leadership that works so well. The other type, of course, is the so-called servant leadership, which means a business owner who is very close to his people, who tries to lay actually on his people to give more to the people, but at the same time get more from the people because they are very critical during the crisis. I would say also inclusive leadership also is working, especially in this crisis, because it's important that all employees have virtual access to the different company communications. All people are participating in different virtual meetings, so they feel that they are part of the same team. And this is, of course, important. So it's a more inclusive type of leading the companies during this crisis. Now, regarding the what-if scenarios, I think, and the best practices, this is also something that we see happening a lot. And this is also the leader's actually role to do all these what-if scenarios with the help of a coach. What I see also is working quite well is the extreme also scenarios For example, what will happen if the turnover drops by 50 or by 80%? So the more prepared the leaders and the companies are actually, and the companies, the more automated way they will react to that crisis. I believe, all in all, I think Action Coach has an amazing wealth of proven systems and tools. It's the best way actually to be equipped in order to manage the crisis fast, but also responsive to the reality out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'll just borrow that last comment that you made about Action Coach having a whole framework. And I will ask Pashupati also to guide us on how Action Coach goes about supporting a business owner in this journey of readaptation.
Action Coach definitely can help business owners in numerous ways in this scenario. The first one is, just a sec. Yeah. First, as Coach Kyriakos mentioned, action coaches have expertise in framework-based time-bound action plans. So not only do we formulate strategy, but we also handhold the business leader in implementing them. So we would be there in the thick of things along with the business owners. Secondly, as an action coach is there in 80 countries with about 3,000 coaches across the world, and some of them have been working for 20 years. So there's a huge amount of knowledge available. So this enables us to access this. Just a sec. There's some problem here. Yeah, thirdly, third and most important, an action coach can be a business owner's friend, philosopher, and guide with whom he can be candid and bounce off his ideas. It can be lonely at the top, and of course, it doesn't harm, to be to have someone who can call it a spade a spade. So I think in these three fronts, action coach can really help business owners in these torrid times.
Okay, thank you so much for your views. I think it's been an interesting discussion. Right from starting off making a 90-day plan, not thinking too far, but taking a day at a time, from creating value, from saving on costs, continuing our marketing, and also looking at how a coach, a mentor can help you. I have a few questions that have come up from the audience. So I'm going to take up those questions and I'll ask each one of you to respond to them as and when the question comes up. So I've got a question which says that how much time do you think the owner can wait and bear a loss? And how can he take a risk if the market is not coming up with any business strategy? So Kyriakos, would you like to take this up, please? I'm repeating the question. How long do you think an owner should continue to wait and keep bearing the loss?
Yeah, I think that it's not a matter of waiting, first of all, no way. It's a matter of having a crisis management plan and a crisis management team in place, actually, and then being benchmarked versus the plan on the assumptions and the results you are getting. So if something is not working, then we need again to review it, re-engineering, and come up with an alternative option. Look what else is working well. So for sure, the plan works as a benchmark on a weekly and a monthly basis. So if something is not working, it needs to change fast. I think this is a classic challenge and a mistake. If something is not happening, we just think that our business is not working well. No, we need to think what else we can do. We need to review again if we have not considered a change out there in the right way. And of course, we need to be ready to change our business model as well.
1705. Thank you so much. Another question that has come up is, what if I don't have the money? Because you are suggesting preserve cash, but changing my market strategy is going to require some amount of cash. So how do I handle that controversy, that dilemma? So Pashupati, would you like to take that up, please?
Yeah,
so I want to change direction, but I don't have so much of cash available. And anyway, the recommendation is preserve your cash.
Yeah. So in this case, in a few of the cases, where For example, like paying off salary of the employees, there is not much leeway, because one, from humanitarian perspective, from business perspective, because if the a good team leaves, then it will be difficult to take back or get new people when things become normal and customers want your product. So to retain a team would be the first priority, and in order for that, if cash is required, I would suggest to even take the help of the banks and the government, where bank has announced many fiscal measures for the business owners, and depending upon the need and the applicability of that scheme, I would suggest the business owner to go through this route. And definitely the other cash flow would be to and the second would be to defer the payments as far as possible. For example, fixed cost payments, as speaker in the morning also said, that fixed cost should come down by 20% at least. So make tactics around that. Look at your fixed cost line by line and see where you can defer the payment. For example, if you can talk to your landlord and defer the payment for that, and if you can talk to your vendors and extend the credit limit or extend the credit period. So these are the ways where you can preserve the current cash and then redeploy the cash, but it's absolutely essential. Like I said, paying the salaries, or booking new material, booking raw material for further production as and when things get normal.
Okay, thank you. Another question that has come up, and Colonel Rahul, if you could take this up, is that are there any new business domains that you think are going to be quick on the uptake while the situation is going on, and even when the lockdown is lifted? What kind of sectors, what kind of businesses do you think are likely to take up and take on very quickly? So in other words, what are the safe businesses that we should consider?
Well, some of them are quite obvious. All businesses which are linked to the medical supply line and the medical caregiving. So businesses that are manufacturing or supplying hospital requirements. Then businesses which will be involved in delivery or production of the essentials, because once the lockdown is removed or is partially lifted, it is the essentials which will get priority for delivery as well as for production. So those businesses which are directly linked to essentials such as delivery of foods, groceries, retail, these are the businesses that will pick up. For all these things to happen, the third part of the equation would be transportation. All kinds of transportation businesses, especially long-haul transportation. That is the one where you will see that immediate activity, business activity will begin.
Okay, thank you so much. Karakos, one question for you is that as part of the framework that Action Coach has, is there some kind of a bounce back checklist which businesses could use for the impact of coronavirus? And in case there is no such checklist, what would you suggest for a business owner to start creating?
First of all, yes, there is a checklist, a very good checklist actually by Action Coach. It's called the 11 steps actually, handling the crisis. I have shared this with all the business owners. Actually, I've used this the same checklist I used also with the CEOs of corporations here. The only difference when talking, when presenting, you can call it a checklist or you can call it 90 days crisis management plan. You see me insisting on this one, but I believe if you frame it as a 90 days crisis management plan, then all the points are there. Because in order to run a plan, you need to check all the different points, which have to do first with communication, positive communication and handling and fear. Second, reviewing the business model, which is very important, as we said before, because the parameters have changed a lot in the market. And there needs to be a review and a decision of the new business model. Third, about operations, which are very important to secure that the delivery in the supply chain is there. Then we have, of course, cash management, which is imperative, and this works actually from the very first moment. Then we have, of course, managing the people and how to get the most out of them. Then we have, of course, the new way of working, the virtual way of working, which is now the new normal of doing business. Then we have, of course, marketing and how to push more with marketing. And I always say to my clients, this is an opportunity to build market share if you have some cash to invest, because this is the right time actually with the different methods. And then of course it's sales and services. And last but not least is handling the information and being really updated on a going basis, I would say twice per day. So all this, which is actually a kind of checklist, this is all what is important to be in a crisis management plan, which is reviewed on a weekly and on a monthly basis. And of course, an action coach can really help on this one, because this is, as you know, the coaching work we do also before the crisis as well, because 90 days plan has been really the framework that we were helping businesses to strive. So even more right now, actually.
Okay, thank you so much. And Colonel Rahul, I'm going to ask you to don on a prediction hat now and ask you that, do you think there are any techniques by which somebody will be able to figure out that another crisis is going to be coming sometime in the future? Are there any warning signs that we can be alert about?
I wish I could say yes. I wish I could say yes, but that is not really possible. Business today is quite unpredictable, and our economies are coupled in a, very intimately, and therefore things are becoming more and more volatile, uncertain, ambiguous. We are basically, even in business, we are moving into what we in military call VUCA environment. Now, the more you want to, the more you push yourself to try new approaches or strategies and challenges, and challenge your long-standing assumptions, the more future-proof your business can be. So there is no way of predicting that, but yes, there is a way of preparing for such crisis. Let me also tell you that no amount of crisis will prepare you 100% for it, but no amount of preparation will prepare you 100% for any crisis. But the very fact that you start thinking about these would improve your response time as well as your responses. So there is a requirement to develop a future orientation. In armed forces, we do have a warning in this, and that what we say is that watch out and make sure that you're not preparing for the last war, because the next war will be nowhere like the last one. So it's important that we learn from our crisis and past patterns of crash and recoveries, but we should not expect them to repeat. So we cannot be stuck in the past. That is also true, and we have to move on. Now, I would one thing I would like to emphasize here, that the future is constantly evolving. It has been created right now as we speak by millions of people in thousands of places across the globe. Therefore, future proofing cannot be a one-time project. And contrary to popular belief, future proofing your business, it does not have to be difficult or time consuming or expensive. Coming up with future proofing ideas is also not very difficult. It is all about staying ahead of the curve. And how do you do that? You primarily do that by increasing your awareness of your business environment. Next, constantly invest and work on the capabilities, individual capabilities as well as team and the capabilities of your business. Third, develop an agile and responsive mindset across your company. Infect your people with that can-do attitude, that no matter what happens, we are prepared, we can respond, and together we will be able to get over this crisis or any crisis that comes first. And I would suggest that take an approach that we follow in military, and that is of war gaming. War game your future scenarios with your team. What would you do if that scenario was to unfold now, today? What responses are possible today with your present capabilities? And what is the ideal response that you would like to have? And thereby, what are the capabilities that you need to develop in order to have that kind of a response within your reach? Now, you don't have to plan and cater for every possible crisis. It is not even possible. But just considering these contingencies and your responses to them will exercise your mind and exercise your team. It is like boxer when he is sparring in the ring. He's preparing for the bout. It is not the bout, but it helps him to fight in the main bout. So keeping in mind that the competition is in any case always looking for ways to do things better, faster, and cheaper. That is another reason that you have to routinely challenge your people to look for ways to proactively disrupt yourself before something else disrupt your business. So while it is very difficult to predict these changes, nobody has been able to do it. People do it in hindsight, and they say that no, signs were there, but we did not see it, etc. But future proofing is not same as future predicting, because the second part is almost impossible. But future proofing is in your hands, in our hands, that we can definitely do.
Thank you. Very well put, Colonel Rahul. Thank you so much for that response. And since we are about to run out of time, I will take up the last question for Pashupati. What are the different financial institutions that somebody can approach? Since morning, there have been a lot of responses, but possibly some participants would have joined late. So maybe you can just summarize what are the different financial institutions that one can tap into. Banks obviously is the primary choice. Maybe you can also guide us on what are the other areas.
Apart from banks, there are of course NBFCs, and there are many startups which have come into now in India in the fintech industry, where they are also into this. Of course, all these startups were there pre-coronavirus period, so we have to look at their response after this period. But there can be one new avenue where the business owners can look at tapping into it. So, but I would really suggest them to look to consult their chartered accountants or financial experts whom they are in touch with in their business, and they would guide them to take proper steps. Because some of the schemes might be quite attractive, but like say for example, there has been a moratorium on loan repayment. But if one really takes it, then he ends up paying a larger interest, or paying the loan for a longer duration of time. So we have to look at both the aspects. Take the incentives, take the benefits of the schemes announced by the government only when you need it. Otherwise, don't, because there are repercussions of that also, which will ultimately impact cash flow. So I would be suggesting on these lines.
Okay, thank you so much for that response. We are just about out of time. So I'm going to wind this up with a big thank you to all three panelists, and thank you to Satyam, Mansi, who have organized this entire thing, and all the participants who have been patiently listening. Thank you so much. And Satyam, back to you.
Thank you, Manish. Thank you, Kyriakos. Thank you, Colonel Rahul, and thank you, Pashupati, for putting this session together and sharing your insights. It's been a lovely session. As a token of appreciation, we have the e-certificates. Colonel Rahul, thank you so much.
Thank you
for taking out time and putting this together. Kyriakos, thank you so much. Pashupati, thank you so much. And finally, our moderator, Manish, thank you. Thank you so much for putting this together.